Hi everyone. In this video, I'll talk about JBIMS MSc Finance application process. The process has recently started and we'll be talking about the eligibility, the selection process, and whether you should apply for this particular program or not. So let's begin. Now, regarding the application process, a couple of things before we get into the subsequent details. The intake is 40 seats for this program. The test scores that they have accepted in the past and will continue to accept for this year are going to be CAT and CET scores. So CAT 25 and CET 26 scores will be accepted. The registration deadline is 8 July till 4 p.m. So I suggest that you apply prior to this. In the past, they have extended the application deadline, but don't wait for that to happen. Take a call before that whether you want to apply or not and finish it off. It's not a very long form, so it should take you about an hour to fill it. The application fees is 2,500 and the eligibility is that you should be a bachelor's degree holder. If you have completed your bachelor's, you can apply. And in case you're a final year student, then also you can apply. They give a deadline by which you need to submit your final year result. And for most candidates, it typically would be around September, October, etc. So if you're a final year student, you can apply for this program. The documents required, so this is something that they have given in the application brochure as well, so have a look at that. Basically this is just 10 12 graduation, your birth certificate, domicile certificate, etc. One very important thing is that the reservation is applicable only for Maharashtra candidates, so it's not for students who don't belong to Maharashtra. So the entire category certificate, whether it is your EWS, NCOBC, SC, ST, etc., and even PH certificate is only for Maharashtra candidates. Now, one additional thing about this program is the UPSC prelims and mains part of it. So, in case somebody has cleared the UPSC prelims and mains, and you have your interview letter, etc., then and taken in the last 2 years, then also you are eligible and you're exempted from CAT and CET score requirement. So, if you are somebody like this, though in the past I haven't seen a lot of students applying under this particular category, you can make an application. Then the score proof of your CAT or CET, which is your scorecard, the photo ID, work experience proof if you have any, and then certificates of co-curricular and extracurricular activities. Now, some additional notes before we move on, that you should have taken maths at your 12th standard or at the undergraduate level. In case you don't have this, then you're not eligible for this particular program. As I mentioned regarding the UPSC civil services taken in the last 2 years, if you have reached the interview stage, then you're exempt from CAT CT scores. The reservation is applicable only for students domiciled in Maharashtra, and approximately 400 candidates are shortlisted for 40 seats that this program has. Now, moving on to the score eligibility. So, regarding scores for the written test for CAT 25 and CET 26, you need to have a minimum of 95 in CAT and 97 in CET if you're a general category candidate, a 75 in CAT and a 90 in CET if you're reserved, and 75 in CAT and 85 in CET if you're a PH candidate. They also have the past academic record requirement. So there's a mandatory condition that you need to have minimum of 60% in both 10th and 12th if you're a general candidate. And if you're a reserved category student, then you need minimum of 55 in both 10th and 12th. So you should clear the score eligibility for both written test as well as the past academic record. Then only you are eligible. Now, a significant portion or proportion of the entire seats that you have that goes under reservation for this particular program. But again, the number of seats in each of the categories is very, very low, and that is why there is a lot of competition that's there for each of the categories. So, for example, if you see the last category, which is a combination of lot of things, where there is 3% reservation, 3% is going to be 3% of 40, that's going to be just one seat, right? So you're not going to have a lot of seats in individual categories, though when you put everything together, a significant part goes away in reservation, leaving very few seats for general candidates. So it is competitive for everybody, whether you belong to general category or any of the reserved categories. Now let's talk about the selection process. So they have two parts to this. One is the initial shortlisting, and then you have the final score, which is a composite score, which gets calculated on the basis of your performance in the application rating as well as the GDPI stage. So this is how the whole thing works. The application rating is what you bring to the table. It's in the form of your written test score, your academic record, your extracurricular and work experience, and then diversity. So in the past, this weightage, the split was slightly different, which had changed this particular year. So for this year, 75% of the initial shortlisting is on the basis of your CAT CET score. So that's a pretty sizable figure there. The past academic record is just 15%. Extracurriculars, work experience, I think used to be higher, which they have now reduced to 5. And diversity is now 5. So that makes it a total of 100. The in-person assessment is going to be a combination of group exercise, personal interview, and VAT. Now, with respect to the overall selection, that is a combination of ARS, the application rating score, which has 60% weight, and 40% is going to be on in-person assessment. What it tells you is that if you have a higher written test score, obviously there is a better chance of you making it to the program. However, in the past, we've also seen students with very high scores sometimes getting rejected because they're not able to convey why they want to do this program. The other thing also has happened wherein somebody has got a slightly lower score in CET or CAT, but because they have the relevant work experience, they're able to show inclination and interest in finance, and that is why they're able to outperform in the GDPI stage. So even if you are slightly lower in terms of your score, there is a chance that you will be able to convert it. At the same time, they have kept a pretty decent minimum requirement as well. So CET, for example, is 97 percentile, which anyway is just filtering out top 3%, right? So you are anyway going to have a good written test score. So now you need to work on your why finance and why this particular program and the PI part of it, so that you will be able to clear the selection process, right? Now the question is, should you apply? So firstly, the program has been there for quite some time now. It has been accepted by the industry that it's a very good program, and the placement outcomes are also decent. So if you look at the latest placement report that's available on the JBIMS website, mean is 19, median is 18, and highest is 35. So those are pretty good numbers. In fact, it may also happen that somebody goes into the MMS program at JBIMS and is not able to get, let's say, a package which somebody from MSc Finance program might get, right? And that has happened in the past as well. So this program is not for everybody though, right? It's only for those who want to specialize in finance. If you look at the syllabus of this program, you will see that a major chunk is finance. You end up studying a little bit of general management, but it's not something similar to what you do in an MBA program where you end up doing a lot of general management subjects. So somebody who has done, say, an MMS finance has done far more general management compared to somebody who has done an MSc finance. So should you apply? The answer is very simple. Yes, you should. If you meet the minimum sectional, minimum score requirement and the past academic record, and you want to do finance, then you should apply. Otherwise, it's better not to apply for this program because you don't want to get into finance if you're not passionate, right? So apply only if you want to do it. Now, this is not an MBA program, so does it really matter? Now, in the long run, it's not going to matter a lot. So we have seen students who have done MSc Finance program several years back, and the kind of career that they got, it's not very different from, let's say, somebody who has done an MBA Finance program. So from an outcome perspective, in the long run, it is not going to make a lot of difference. At the same time, if you started with the aspiration that I want to do an MBA program, I would suggest that don't change that objective. You can always look at, say, a CAT 26. If you want, you can always try again for the MMS program. But right now, you need not change the goalpost if you started with the MBA aspiration. However, if let's say you are somebody who is going to get, say, an MMS program at Wellinger or a Sydenham or some other institute, right? And you also get this particular program at JBIMS, the MSc Finance program, it makes sense to go for JBIMS MSc Finance because of the brand and the deep knowledge that you're going to get for finance. So you have to take that call, but again, it's too early to make that decision. So I would suggest that you apply for this program. You also participate in CAP rounds and see what happens there. And eventually you can decide what you want to do because the results will come somewhere around the same time. So you will be able to decide later. Right now, it makes sense to apply and then let's see what happens. Okay. So if you have any questions, let me know. You can leave it as a comment. Thank you so much for watching. We also have a similar video for the MHRD program at JBIMS. So have a look at that. And if you want to know anything, please let us know. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you soon. Take care.